abducted by a UFO. New York City-based private investigator Steve Rambo doesn't buy it.
As much as I'd like to believe in intelligent life somewhere in the universe, because it's lacking in most of the places where I work, I really don't subscribe to the UFO theory.
Rambo specializes in tracking down people who fake their own deaths.
If you look at this case, even superficially, you'll see that this is somebody that actually planned his disappearance.
But Frederick had his whole life ahead of him. Why would he want to disappear?
20 years old, he's first experiencing the stresses of adulthood. He's entering the job market. He's starting to wonder what he's going to do with his life. He has a young girlfriend who is putting pressure on him about the future. After he disappeared, she showed a lot of signs of instability. She didn't work or essentially go out for about 7 years. I can tell you, when I was a 19-year-old guy, there were a couple of times when I wished I had a plane I could get into and go away from my college tests and my girlfriend at the time and whatever. I've got to tell you, there are people of that age with less pressure on them who don't have a plane available to them who manage to get up and fly away.
How does this explain the UFO attack? Random thinks Frederick made it up.
For the couple of weeks before he disappeared, he expressed unusual sudden interest in UFOs. It's a little difficult for me to believe that this fellow all of a sudden gets sucked up into the mothership.
But if Frederick was a faker, why did he do it? To escape.
He has a plane at his disposal, which he has gassed up for 300 miles flight. Even though he's only got to go 40 miles, he probably needed some getting away money. And that plane was worth something. I think that plane was either sold or sold for parts. Everything was easier in 1978. Life was easier. Today, if you disappear, I know everywhere you've been up to the nanosecond before that disappearance. I know your credit card usage. I know your Wi-Fi activity. I know your cell phone within 100 feet. I know who you spoke to, who you emailed. I know your friends, your family, your likes, your dislikes, all in a database. I can tell you that now, I've been doing this for about 30 years, and I can tell you that in 1981 and 82, when I backgrounded somebody, my initial intake file, if I was really, really lucky, was about 20 pages. That was a huge file. Today, if I background you and I do initial intake on somebody who's disappeared, if I have less than 500 pages, it's a shame.
Rambam thinks we can solve the mystery. All we have to do is look in the right place.
If I had to bet, I think he's flying planes somewhere. Certainly not under his own name, but there's somebody that looks quite like him with his background. I've worked with police in Australia. They're no dummies. I think they've kept this open because they know darn well this kid was not sucked up into a UFO.
Did Frederick Valentin fake his own death? Or does the answer lie elsewhere? Mark Wallace has been a commercial airline pilot for almost 30 years.
I've actually narrowed it down to one theory as to what's happened. If you're a brand new pilot, this is one of the more common problems that leads to crashes. They get disoriented.
Wallace thinks Frederick's big mistake was the time he departed, 6:20 p.m.
When you're a fairly new pilot, that's called visual flight rules. You're looking at the sky for reference to keep yourself right side up. As you get late in the day, the water looks black at night. You now have a black ocean morphing into a black sky. So you're losing that defining horizon for pilots to look at.
As it grows darker, Frederick grows more disoriented.
You can't really see the horizon anymore. It's very easy then for the airplane to start to go into a bank and you don't feel it. If you're an inexperienced pilot and you can't feel the plane banking, and you look down at this instrument and it shows the airplane in a 30-degree bank, you don't believe it. So you don't change.
The more the plane banked, the more it lost altitude, until the Cessna simply fell into the sea. But why didn't searchers find any wreckage?
The Bass Strait is a massive strait of water between Australia and Tasmania, and it's got a lot of ocean currents. As the ocean whips down from the Great Barrier Reef, even though it's not very deep, it wouldn't take much for that, whatever debris there is, to end up who knows where.
But what about the mysterious craft that harassed him?
My first thought was that it's some sort of a military aircraft. You know, someone's fooling around, having a little bit of fun with the guy. I wouldn't put it past the military guys to go out and basically do an intercept, you know, a practice intercept on an aircraft.
Did Frederick Valentin crash his plane into the ocean? Or did he fake his own death? Was he shot down by an alien spacecraft? We may never know. Weird, or what? So there we have it. 3 stories of unsolved vanishings. 3 men disappeared from aboard a yacht in Australia. Were they attacked by a giant squid? A series of people vanished from a remote Vermont forest. Did Bigfoot kidnap them? And a pilot was chased by a strange, unidentified craft. Was he shot down by aliens? You decide. Join me next time for more stories that will undoubtedly be weird, or what?